Hello, welcome in. Working on something a little bit different today. We're usually doing something like this. I thought I would do a little switch up here and take one of the pebble paintings using a Pigma archival ink permanent pen. I'm dropping in some of these pebble shapes around the watercolored stones. Haven't decided yet if I'm going to add any details or color to the pebbles that are being drawn in, but knowing my love for embellishing everything, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say, yeah, we're probably gonna add some color, some textures. Probably gonna keep it fairly monochromatic. I want the focus in this drawing to stay on these watercolored rocks. I think they turned out kind of cool. I just did one layer of wash using granulating watercolors. So they make these nice swirls and textures where the pigments in the watercolor, they settle out of suspension when you add plenty of water to your wash. And I find it kind of peaceful just to outline these shapes, so that's the simple idea of this. Welcome to hang out and just relax, chat, whatever you want to do there. So I realize that this is a bit of a different time from when I usually run my streams. I was kind of excited about this experiment, this exploration, and I thought maybe somebody'd like to watch along as I take these first steps down a new design path. I've worked my way through approximately 50 of those other drawings, and we will come back to these small pebble drawings, these mindfulness exercises that I usually do. But most artists find that their work evolves as you go along and you're working with your materials and something new emerges that you want to explore. Or maybe you get a little burned out on your other motifs, your other designs, and you want to freshen things up and move your designs along. Welcome into chat. Hello. I've got a I was going to say a case of the ADD, but that implies it's contagious, and it's not. That's just how my mind works. So if you're a person who's got some neurodiversity, ADD, ADHD, autism, you may find that there are challenges. I find with ADD, I get a bit bored with things if there's not some novelty that comes into my work. So rather than fight that tendency or that attribute, I try to work with it, and I allow myself to change things up, do something new every now and again. I know when I was in school, we really were forced by instructors and teachers and professors to just keep doing the thing that you're assigned to do, and that can be really a challenging task if you're a person with ADHD. Hi, Gail, it's really good to see you. Welcome in. I'm making a rare daytime live stream, so I was hoping that that might be more accessible for some of the people that I know from around the community. So how are you doing? Are you working on some art today? I hope everybody's making some time to do some creative work. And if you can't do that, at least take some time to unwind your mind. All right, I'm going to turn this around so that I can work on it without reaching across. I think it's more interesting to look at the painting than it is my arm, so. On radiant light. As a light source in watercolor, Gail? Gail says she was busy doing some free lessons last week on radiant light. That is one thing about these pebble drawings. I really do not have a source of light. But that is an important consideration in your artwork. Well, where is the light coming from? Because the light is very often directional, and once you master the trick of showing where the light is coming from, your paintings really can improve. I think actually in these, it's not without a light source, but I'm envisioning that the light is coming directly straight down, like it had perpendicular to the stones. Like if you were walking on a beach and looking down and the sun was over your shoulder. So I cheated a little bit. That's okay. In acrylics, okay. I used to work in acrylics quite a lot, and then a few years ago, I took up watercolor as an exercise in freeing up my approach because I had become very controlling of the medium using, tools just right down in lots of detail. And I was having some frustration with how my work was looking, and so I thought, well, watercolor is a medium that you have to allow it to do what it does. I mean, you have to be okay with that because watercolor does what it does, whether you want to control it or not. And so I just decided to play with watercolor so that I could get my brush strokes loosened up and just be more playful in whatever medium I was working in. And at first I was really frustrated because watercolor just seems to do its own thing. But in very short order I fell in love with the effects that you could get with watercolor. It's got this beautiful translucency. It relies on the light coming through the wash of color and then bouncing off of the paper, and I have not been back to acrylics. I have not been back to printmaking since I started working in watercolor. And I'm by no means a master of watercolor, but certainly an aficionado and a fan of it. So I recommend it if you're feeling like you're kind of tight in your work and you're being controlling and you're not getting the quality of line or the quality of colors that you want. Maybe could be an invitation to step out of that media and work with something else. Give yourself a break until you can have some fresh ideas for your preferred media. And if you've not worked with watercolor, it's very accessible. It's moderately priced. I was going to say I think it's inexpensive, but I think a lot of people are students and none of us really have a ton of money to burn. But you can get a good 12 color set with a palette and a case and a brush for around. I saw a decent set for around $25 at my local art store just a few days ago. So, and those sets are designed to have colors that will mix well, so that you can make all kinds of colors. I don't know if you can see the variety of colors I have in all of these stones, but I think I was using 5 or 6 different watercolors to mix together to get to these. Oh, yeah, it's a beach full of colors here we've got. And that's one of the fun things about watercolor is you can just put dabs of paint out of the tubes onto your palette and intermix them, and it mixes very quickly, and it's just almost magic alchemy the way the paints mix into these new colors. Annoyed Cricket Helmet, good to see you. I had a bit of a busy week at the end of last week. I was live streaming with friends and probably about 6 hours with various people here and there. Maybe it was even a little bit more, so I found myself needing to take a bit of a rest. So that's why my weekend live stream, I think I had one, and I felt like I usually do one on Sunday or Monday nights, and I took a runner, or took a pass, so I hope that, well, you guys know I'm not really on a schedule, so I like to be dependable. It's a little bit hard to be dependable when there's not a set schedule, but anyway, so I thought today I'd just throw up a quick live and see who was out and about. Oh, Gail says that her local art store closed. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Yeah, I live in a town that's got. We have an independent art store, but it's more of a. It is literally a place that specializes in craft supplies. So I was in there last week looking for empty half pans, and one of the employees just kind of blinked at me, and another one knew what I was talking about, but was like, yeah, no, we don't. They carried a small assortment of tubes of watercolor, but not really any specialty things, so I have to order most of that stuff or else head up to a bigger town up the interstate. And we do have a Hobby Lobby, which I say this about Hobby Lobby. I'll be happy to go shop at Hobby Lobby on a Sunday afternoon right after I get done having lunch at Chick-fil-A. Because that's how I roll. And all businesses are entitled to run their business in the way they want, as long as it's not discriminatory. And I am likewise welcome to spend my money as I want with the types of businesses that treat people fairly. And so, like I said, that's when I'll be happy to shop there. Annoyed Cricket Helmet says, I love to watch you do your artwork. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate the company. I really genuinely do. I am slowly adjusting to being able to keep an eye on the chat. I finally got the phone positioned in a way that I can see what's going on. I know it's a little rough, but I think we're here for the human interaction and modest quality of the video production. Oops, I keep getting out of frame just a little bit here. Yeah, I ordered from Dick Blick Art Materials this month, Gail, if you're still in here. And the shipping took quite a long time, but that was on FedEx, not Dick Blick. The order was packaged very well. Nothing was broken or sometimes when you order stuff online, it arrives and then you look at the packaging and it just looks like it's shop worn. Like the corners are bent and things are damaged. And I've shopped in Dick Blick stores, their storefront, but I've not ordered, so I didn't quite know what to expect. And I was pleased with the condition of the stuff. It looked like it was new out of the stock room, like it wasn't just beat up. And okay. So I was going to say, I know Dick Blick, they're in Illinois, and I know they had said they were shipping to Canada. And there was one product in there that I ordered some of this white ink from Kuretake, which is Zig. It's a usually really reliable company, but you can see it's ink really out of flow. So I sent them some pictures of this and popped an email off to their customer service, and I got a reply back within, I want to say 4 hours, and it said, you don't need to send that back to us. We will credited your account and we will ship out another one, and it should be to you in 2 to 3 days. So I was really pleased with that kind of a quick response, and hopefully the one they send will be fluid, because ink really should be fluid. I mean, I know this kind of ink that comes in the pots instead of the bottles does tend to be a bit thicker, and you do usually have to add a little bit of water to get it to the consistency you want. But yeah, that's, I mean, really? Wow. I don't know what happened. And it's, the level of it is down to about here, so I think it just maybe didn't get the cap tightened enough at the factory, or it doesn't seem like old stock. I mean, it's just wasn't quite right. So Annoyed Cricket Helmet, you're my favorite. I'm your favorite YouTuber? Oh my goodness. Well, I don't. I'm just giving me a moment there. I thank you. Okay, so Gail Byron says she uses the Dr. Martin's bleed proof white and she loves it. That was the other one I was looking at, and I think I was really tempted by that one. But the Gansai Tambi that I've been using, the Japanese gouache watercolor paints, they are also made by Kuretake. So I thought maybe I would just stick with the brand. But yeah, I will give the replacement a try, because waste not, want not. But the next time, I'm gonna try the Dr. Martens bleed proof white. Okay, thank you for the recommendation. Sandra Louise, nice to see you again. Welcome in. Hello. What do you guys think? Some of you have seen me do stuff before. Do you like this? I'm kind of digging it. It's a really different technique from the overworking that the little squares get. They just get... I go multimedia on them and start with watercolor and then use the gel crayons and the Neocolor 2 wax pastels and... what else? Watercolor pencils? I mean, I just go to town on putting media down on this, and there's very little of the page that shows through. And I got to thinking, I'm spending good money on watercolor paper, which is, got these bright attributes. It's designed to be able to reflect a lot of light back, and then I'm just coating it with media. And so I thought I would explore just using one layer of wash. Helkier, hi. Hello. It's nice to see people during the daytime. I know I'm always kind of rocking at about 3 or 4 in the morning, and reasonable people in the U.S. time zone are probably in bed. Although I'm told that that people in the insomniac crowd are sometimes enjoying the feed, so I'm just glad. All right, Annoyed Cricket Helmet, it was lovely to see you. Thanks for stopping in. Yeah, well, you guys have been super busy out in the Chicagolands area, doing some good work out there. Such good news for Nance. I've so enjoyed hearing a bit of. It was nice to see her back last night and sit by a campfire and just spend some time. And she was talking a little bit about taking another architectural tour. So that's what I love to see. I love to see the, down doing the work and then, taking those lovely breaks and showing off her beloved Chicago. And I'm glad to hear that she's found somebody to help her that seems to want to be there instead of whatever was going on with that last fella. Gail Byron, thank you for thank you for coming in and chatting. I appreciate you so much. Well, are you gonna? I hope I'll see you on Friday at Joints, Drinks, and Crafts. That's always fun. So, and I'm out of frame again. Yeah. So, Hell, what have you been up to? What's Well, that'll be nice. Gail says she might try to join on Friday. The more the merrier. And I know Eric really appreciates it when people show up. I think he's really getting a kick out of having some crafty friends to cheer him on. And you know me, I'll go anywhere to make another person into an artist. I know everybody is an artist. I just happen to believe that not everybody has yet found their preferred medium. We can just figure out that thing that it is, that wherever their talent is, we just have to uncover it and it will blossom. So Yeah, and I think quite a few of the people that are often on that in for the Friday evening at 4:20 with Eric Rader. I'll drop a link to that in the comments after we wrap up this live stream. So if anybody wants to find it, but he gets a group of people together every Friday for a little weekend unwinding, and quite a few of the people that are regulars there, well, a handful of them are on the cruise. So I don't think they dock until Friday. So we'll be holding down the fort. Sun porch. Oh, Hellgear says she's lying on her newly remodeled sun porch right now. Well, that is absolutely just the best thing to be doing on a lovely fall evening. Wonderful. And 2 college classes. That's terrific. And you've got a young person in your home to share some time with. That's one of life's little surprise gifts there, huh, Hal? I periodically scratch my head and go, how did I manage to get through life? I always thought I would end up with children, and then at some point I thought, well, probably not having my own, but it seemed like everybody I dated had kids, and oh, the kids are with their mom, or kids are with the partner, and so every once in a while one of us will slip through to the 60s without, sorry, trying to do that slow so it doesn't make anybody motion sick, but I find myself now in my early 60s, and I just wish I had grandkids, because that just seems like, um, well, and I'm thinking of grandkids that you can feed full of sugar and cookies and then send them home to their parents. But a lot of grandparents have become primary caretakers for their grandchildren, so you probably can't indulge them as much if you have to be the disciplinarian. And of course, probably imaginary grandchildren are more fun than some of the bad days with actual grandchildren. Though I don't know, just that it seems like that's probably good days. I just realized I was going to tuck some of these pebbles underneath as half pebbles, and I haven't done a one that wasn't a full circle, so guess I'll stick with what I'm doing. Whoops. Oh, best laid plans of mice and men, right? Hell, that's wild to think about. But good on both of you for working together to co-grandparent. kind of halfway in. Exactly. Hell says it's for a good cause. Um, very true. Very true. That's the thing about young people. They do need parenting. Hmm. So a newly remodeled sun porch, what does that entail? Does that include like a glider rocker or a hammock of some sort? Hell, that was exactly what was going through my mind. I was thinking about kids like, 9-year-old Natalie and Jenna Miscavige and Laura FM, who were just fending for themselves all week with an hour or two on Sunday, maybe. Had a rough week and their parents didn't get their family time, then the kid didn't get any family time either. And I really don't think 2 hours a week with a parent is. Ugh. And to be put to work, like hard labor, no school, um, and to come away from that and to talk about it as though, oh, I was up, mucking stalls and feeding horses, but it was fun. I thought it was fun. No, it's not fun. That's work. That's work. If you're a kid, you ought to be riding the horses more, or, I mean, there's some responsibility that comes with horse ownership, but that's not, it's being brainwashed to believe that the work is not work. Yeah. So, yeah, for those of you who aren't able to read the comments, Hal and I are talking about the Church of Scientology and an organization that they say they don't have anymore called the Cadet Org, which is where children were put. And Church of Scientology claims that they no longer have the Cadet Org and that children are not allowed into the Sea Org. But there are people protesting Scientology because of the way that for any number of reasons, one of which is that children are brought into their Sea organization and taken out of school, and they live away from their parents in pretty grim conditions, and they are made to work doing things like digging ditches and hard physical labor. So there is a movement of people who are protesting these abuses, trying to put a stop to it, trying to get Scientology to stop treating the church members in such an abusive way. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I've got a. So Hell is talking about her sun porch, And I've got a deck that I keep thinking I want to turn it into, well, not turn it into, but add a catio. So enclose it with some material that air would move through, but the cat couldn't get out, so that the cat can go outside and just hang out and lounge around in the fresh air. And um, I keep thinking I want to undertake that project, but here we are, September. So nice. I really love outdoor living spaces, and the place I have now, well, the other thing is too, like, when you turn your backyard or your outdoor parts of your dwelling into living spaces, some of that's dependent, how much you can enjoy it is dependent on the sort of neighbors you have and the ambient noise. And I've been in this place for several years now and haven't made that happen because it's not as peaceful. It's my own place, and I have dominion over my own. Like, there's nobody on the other side of the walls. There's nobody living in an apartment above me and banging around on their floor, my ceiling. So it does have that advantage. But the way I'm situated, there are several people that whose backyards adjoin mine, and they are very often out in their backyards, and they're nice people. They live a little more loudly than I do. So yeah, nice. It sounds really nice, though. It sounds like she's talking about her porch. She's ordered windows and new doors and new door jambs, and it sounds like it's going to be enclosed enough that you'll be able to use it even in the winter months, maybe with a space heater, or maybe not the absolute depths of winter, because I know you can get some pretty harsh weather off the lake there in the Chicago area. Yes, absolutely. At least fall. Uh, I'm all ready for fall because the equinox came and went. And you know, it was 89 degrees today in Oregon, where I'm at, and I thought that was completely unreasonable for September. Just, I'm ready for some days where I could bust out the sweaters and start, wrapping my hands around a mug of hot tea. And nope. I went out to grab lunch, and so I went out the door and I thought, oh, I've got pants. I need shorts. It's just 89. Sweater weather, sweater weather, sweater weather. Absolutely. Yeah. So, um, are you? I know you're in the area because I know that you were in joined the protest up at Battle Creek. So forgive me if I've gotten the geography wrong, and please don't feel that you have to reveal your location in my chat here, but feel free to correct me. I'm assuming that because you're protesting in that area that you're okay near Chicago. All right. For some reason, my brain just is blasting Schaumburg. I don't know why. I think I had a friend in college who was, no, he was from Evanston. And I've got some relatives out there that were in, they were in Evanston and then moved to Carbondale, to the university area there. So it's a part of the country I would like to come see sometime. I love museums and I love architecture and oh, okay. All right. uh I'm there. I would love that. I love boats. I love architecture. Yeah, I'm nuts about boats and water and doing all that kind of stuff. Um, I used to do some scuba diving, which that's probably not really a Chicago activity, but um, just anything to get in and explore that world. It's so magical. Yeah, I flew in and out of O'Hare once and had a basically I think I've seen Chicago from the air flying in and out at dusk. It was absolutely flew in at dusk, flew out at night, and then got to see whatever art exhibits were in O'Hare. And I remember going through this big installation that it just looked like paint chips. They were like big, big rectangles of color on the wall that were, I don't know if they were downlit or if they were lit from behind, but it just, I remember thinking it was like being shrunken down and being in the paint chip display at a hardware store, which was kind of cool, but I'm sure they've rotated out, put something new there. And tons and tons of people. Yeah, and I just remember the airport was um just seemed absolutely huge. And I'd flown out of PDX out in Portland, and that seems like a pretty good size airport, but O'Hare was just huge. And of course, we came in, at one end and then had to change planes, and it was clear at the other end of the airport. And recall something, if I recall correctly, like having to take a train to get to the other side of the airport. It's like I'm on a train to get to an airplane. Yeah, it was crazy. And by the time we got to the gate, I was flying. Uh, I was very fortunate. I was able to do a semester abroad, and so it was the flight to go to London because I did a semester in various countries in Europe, and I can just remember just trying to get through that airport and just trying to not miss the next leg of the flight, because the next leg of the flight was the transatlantic one to London. And since I was a student, I had like booked the cheapest flight I could find, which I want to say it had 3 or 4 legs. It was ridiculous. Like I flew like Portland to Seattle, Seattle to O'Hare, and I think we had a stop on the East Coast too, Boston or New York. I didn't have to get off the plane, but we did have to land, and it was a cheap flight though. Yeah, and it was one of those situations that travel agent had booked in, and I was flying with another student, and they had put us like on opposite ends of the plane. So when I got to they said, "Oh, you can get your seat assignment changed at the gate." So when I got to the gate, and we told them what happened, and the person at the gate said, "Well, I can't do anything about this leg from Seattle to O'Hare, or from yeah." But um, when we flew out of O'Hare to Gatwick, the gate agent upgraded us. She said, "Oh, I do have 2 seats together, so I'll do that for you." And she didn't. She just like had this funny smile, and she didn't say anything about it. We didn't know till we got on the plane. She upgraded us to business class. So instead of having to fly coach across the Atlantic, we got to sit in business class, and that was pretty cool. Because they come up and they say, "Do you want champagne and orange juice?" It's like, yes, please. Whereas back in coach, you get like a half a can of soda. So it was that was a lovely flight. And back in they still did nuts on the plane back then. Back in coach, you got a bag of cold peanuts. But if you were sitting in business class or first class, they brought this little ceramic cup full of mixed nuts like macadamias and almonds and pistachios, or maybe cashews, maybe not pistachios, but um, yeah, that was British Airways. So every once in a while, life will just throw you it'll throw you a curveball, and then sometimes life will throw you, I don't know, some kind of a cream puff of a surprise that just it was pretty wonderful. Yeah. Coming back though, they had an aborted takeoff, and so that was not cool. So we got clear down to the end of the runway, and the flight attendants, were in the jump seats, which faced back into the passenger cabin. So I was right there at the bulkhead, kind of 6 feet away from a flight attendant, and of course these big transatlantic airplanes. It's like I can't remember what model it was, but one of the great big Boeing planes. And right at that point where they usually kind of just drop the hammer and you get slammed back in your seat and the plane takes off, all of a sudden it went from full tilt boogie forward to brakes on, and then like the the force of it, just like I was leaning forward in my like being moved forward in the seat, and the flight attendant goes, "Oh shit." And I thought, I was kind of like, well, this seems unusual. And as soon as the flight attendant said that, I thought, oh dear, we're crashing. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. And what happened was some indicator light came on, and the captain said, "We've got to go back, and we got to have maintenance take a look at this." Right? And we were getting ready to fly across the Atlantic. I'm, I am And they won't let us off the plane, so we're back, and guys in coveralls come on the plane, and they go back to the cargo door, and they open it up, and I'm not kidding, they take a dust buster. You know, one of those handheld vacuum. They open the cargo door. That's it's like where the passenger seats are, but it's like a great big door, not the emergency exit, but like the big one that they open up to, I don't know, maybe they bring the food and catering in. I don't know what they do through that door, but they don't deplane passengers through, but it's just this big door. They open it up, and then he goes around the border of the door with this Black and Decker dustbuster. Just it's like about, I don't know, 10 minutes of just, and then it's like this. How about now? The captain comes back from the cockpit, and he's like standing next to the guy in the maintenance jumpsuit, and then the captain goes back forward, and the longer we sit there, the more nerve-wracking it is, and I'm thinking, oh, it must have been this is 747. That's a great big one, and I'm thinking they're fixing this thing with a Black and Decker dustbuster. I don't know. Captain goes back to the cockpit, and then there's nothing. Like there's the maintenance guy doesn't look at any better. He just like walks back off the plane with his little toolbox and his dustbuster. The captain comes on and says, "We had a sensor. The sensor has gone off, and so we're good to take off now." It was I don't know. There were a lot of people just doing Hail Marys and praying, and there were a lot of upset passengers on that plane, but the takeoff was fine. The um, the flight attendants were really generous with the all of the drinks and the goodies. Oh yeah, same plane. Oh yeah, 2 hours we sat while they're fixing the plane with a dustbuster. So I'm like, I had a little journal. I did a lot of journaling at the time, so I'm like writing goodbye letters. Like, if the plane crashes, please just know that all of those kinds of things we do if we think death might be imminent. But it was fine. I'm sorry if I've triggered anybody who had flight phobia. Um, but yeah, apparently there was just, I don't know, a piece of lint in the door. I don't know what it was. It never really told us. And I've since flown many times. I've never had any trouble. If that's the worst thing that ever happens on an airplane, it'll be good, right? Oh. You guys, I never really know what the story's gonna be during the live stream. It's just always something random. Yeah, but other than the dustbuster, British Airways was terrific. Yeah, yeah. And sadly, on the flight back, we did not have the advantage of business class, so that was a lot of hours in a coach seat. I'm one of those people who thinks it's pretty remarkable that we can go from place to place in an airplane. Sandra Louise says she's a Cancer and crabs don't fly. So my mom was that way, just like no good reason to get in an airplane, and at I had to have a I had to fly to Denver to get a surgery, and my mom said, "Okay, well, we'll book the tickets." And I said, "But you have a flying phobia." And she said, "Yeah, but we have to go." And she wasn't great. Like, she sat in the seat, like, you know, gripping the armrest, but she did it. And then I think she flew one more time for a vacation. But for a person who swore up and down that there was no reason to leave the perfectly solid ground, and I don't know, just kind of reminded me of my mom when you said that. Well, let's see. I think we have achieved pretty comprehensive coverage on this drawing. Yeah, there's a channel here on I forgot where I was, on YouTube. I think it's 747 gear with pilot Kelsey, and he's always talking about all kinds of things. He's a 747 pilot, and I find that channel really interesting. If anybody's fond of watching aviation videos. Alrighty, well, we are at an hour, so I think we're going to wrap up here. This was a lot of fun. It was lovely to chat with everybody. I really appreciate everybody coming in and spending a little time. I really like this one. And I like this one. It doesn't show up very well on the... A little more light on it. Oh, there we go. See? Yeah, hell. Stop by anytime. Hell, it was lovely to chat with you. Thanks for listening to my goofy airplane story, and until next time, everybody, please be kind to yourself. Take some time. Take care of yourself. Do a little bit of art if you can. And we'll see you again. Bye now. Thank you, Sandra. We'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.